I've come back from the future to warn you that if you don't subscribe to Geekdom 101, your future is grim.
So this past weekend, Dragon Ball Super episode 47 premiered on Toonami, English dubbed, which is the first episode of the Future Trunks arc. SOS from the future, a black new enemy appears, but in this version they called it a dark new enemy appears, probably because, well, they didn't want to use the word black because, I don't know, maybe it's a racial thing, I have no idea, but I checked it out and I wanted to give you all my thoughts on the first episode of the Future Trunks arc dubbed, just to kind of give a little mini review about what I thought and how the voices came off, because I know there's a lot of concern about how this is going to be dubbed, because this is a lot of people's favorite arc in Dragon Ball Super, and it also features the return of Eric Vale as Trunks, and of course Sean Schemmel portraying not just Goku, of course, but also Goku Black. Now this episode, when it premiered in Japan, was a very big deal. I don't know if you guys remember or if you were around, but I can share from my experiences that this was a hugely hyped episode. You know, they put a huge promotional campaign behind this episode for about 3 weeks. There were about 2 or 3 episode previews and arc previews that Toei had put out. There was a lot of hype, and the night it premiered, I remember getting text messages from everybody, you know, shocked about, you know, what happened with Goku Black and, you know, just his appearance, the way it looked, the way it was drawn, seeing Trunks, and the dramatic tone shift. Because up until the Future Trunks arc, Dragon Ball Super really didn't even explore a dark tone. The closest they came was the explosion of Earth in the Golden Frieza arc, and that was already seen from the movie, and we already kind of knew the outcome because it was a retelling of a movie that most of us had already seen, you know, the previous year. And it was, you know, whatever. The Universe 6-7 tournament, the Champa arc, was really not dark at all whatsoever. It was more lighthearted, kind of fun romp, you know, just fun fights and things like that. A little bit of a letdown, but nothing too crazy. But with this arc, things got serious. So seeing how Funimation and Okratron was going to handle the serious tone was interesting to me, and I know to a lot of people. First of all, Eric Vale is back as Future Trunks, of course. And what's interesting about this is that, you know, Vale portrayed Trunks all the way back in the old Z-dub, and it's been several years since he's portrayed Trunks on an anime. Obviously, for all the video games that have come out, Xenoverse and all the games, Eric Vale still plays Trunks. But this is now his return to the franchise, because Future Trunks was not in Battle of Gods. He had a tiny cameo in Resurrection F when Frieza had that flashback, but now he gets to actually perform the role. And I find it pretty good because Eric Vale, much like his character of Future Trunks, is much older now than he was, you know, when he first portrayed the character. In fact, it was almost, 17, 18 years, and we know that Trunks is about 17 years older too. So it really fits that Eric Vale's, you know, older voice fit Trunks. The thing that I was worried about was that it was going to be too gruffy. He was going to go, you know, kind of like this. And then after seeing the episode, it was not. It was a very good balance, very good direction with how Trunks sounds now. He still sounds like the mysterious youth, but he does sound older. And it's going to come down to how the script is for this dub. And that's the one thing about Super that I think has been the biggest, I guess, talking point as far as controversy is the script. Even though I feel the Dragon Ball Super English dub is pretty good and the voices are good, the script needs a little bit of work, especially with the first 2 arcs. They took a lot of liberties in those arcs, and obviously when you're doing a dub script, right, obviously you have to change words around to match the lip flaps, and there's things you have to change, but sometimes I feel like the dub is too self-aware. They make little jokes here and there that seem to be very, I mean, they're definitely not in the Japanese version, but like little, you know, meta jokes and things like that. You know, Vegeta tends to say damn and hell a lot more in the dub than he does in the Japanese version. I really don't have a problem with that, but it is something that a lot of fans do have a problem with, and it should be addressed. And there's also some corny jokes they put into the dub that was in the Japanese version. So even though it's not quite to the level of like Ocean and then Z Funimation dub, where they would put in ridiculous jokes, many of which were funny. I mean, don't get me wrong, that Frieza back scratcher line to Nail is one of my favorite dub lines ever. With Super, none of the dub lines that have been added are really that great in my opinion. And I'm very against dub changes. I've been that way for a long time. 1 or 2 is fine, just you just don't want to overdo it. I think some fans are over magnetizing how many dub changes are in Super, but it's definitely something that's noticeable, especially since now, unlike back in the day, more fans are watching the sub version first. See, I was one of the few that saw the sub Dragon Ball Z back in the day before it aired on Toonami, but nowadays we got a whole new generation of fans watching the sub first, and as a result of that, they're going to compare the sub and the dub a lot more intricately, and they're going to be way more critical. So people like Sean Schemmel are going to have to be compared to Nozawa, and so on and so forth. And we're going to get to Sean Schemmel's Black here in a minute, because that was a big talking point. So Colleen Clinkenbeard plays Future Mai. Amazing work here. That is perfect casting. You know, Colleen played Kid Gohan in the Dragon Ball Kai dub, which I know a lot of fans weren't too big on because they love Stephanie Nadolny's performance in Z, which is fine, but Colleen's a very talented voice actress, and I think her casting as Future Mai was great. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, you can't really complain about that. Monica Rial returns to play Bulma, and I gotta be honest, even though I was really impressed with Monica Rial, she's just amazing. You know, watching this again, because I haven't seen these episodes in months, right? Maybe about 6 months, the last time I ever saw a Trunks arc, because I did rewatch it. You know, it reminds me of how amazing Hiromi Sudo was in the Japanese version and how tragic it is that she passed away. She really was incredible in this arc, and I know Monica will definitely have a great performance throughout the entire arc. Lots of Bulma in the Future Trunks arc, but and then let's talk about Goku Black, all right? Because that's the big kind of thing. Okay, so when Xenoverse 2 came out, Goku Black, Sean Schemmel did Goku Black, and his voice was very kind of dark and very SS4 GT-esque, and I know a lot of fans didn't like it. And then when Rose came out, it's funny because I'm pretty sure it was Gabby and Masako X who had made jokes about, oh, well, when Rose comes out, give him a British accent. And they actually gave him a British accent. So somehow that got back to Funimation, which should tell you the power of this community, you know, without question. Got back to Funimation, so Sean Schemmel's Rose in Xenoverse, okay, was like a British accent that really people really didn't like it. And we haven't heard the Funimation dub of Rose yet. He is toned down in the Fighters English version, but we haven't heard it in the anime yet. But as far as this episode goes, I thought his Goku Black was much better. It really sounded more like Sean Schemmel was just talking with his regular voice versus, you know, trying to portray a character. It sounded more like it was just Sean kind of being Sean, but, you know, obviously with the evil toned up just a bit. So I thought it was fine just seeing him, you know, play the character, but it's going to be tricky because the thing about Goku Black that made Nozawa's performance so great and that it's going to be a challenge is that Goku Black has to act like Zamasu, because we know, and the dub definitely knows, because they recorded this way after the Japanese version aired, so they saw all the episodes. We know that Zamasu's black. So it can't just be like an evil Goku. It has to be a Goku who is possessed by Zamasu. So when Zamasu's voice actor comes around, Chris Gray, which is... All right, I'm going to talk about Chris Gray here in a minute, but because there's some funny stuff going on. But when Zamasu premieres, he has to talk like Goku Black. They have to match the way they talk because he took over his body. Overall, though, his performance as Black was fine. I did not like the script, though. I didn't like how... Okay, the lines at the end of the episode where he talks to Trunks are very different than they were in the Japanese version, and I think not for the better. I didn't like the script change. In the Japanese version, you know, Nozawa says something like, "I can't wait for you to die, Saiyajin," you know, and that's how it goes on a cliffhanger. Here, Sean Schemmel says, "It's about time, Saiyan. You've been running around making messes for too long, and now I'm going to choke the life from you. I can't wait to watch you die." And yeah, that sounds cool on the surface. It's a little edgy. I feel like they're trying too hard to be edgy, you know, and say, "Oh, we say a cool line like choke the life out of you," which it was a cool line, but I just felt like it would have been more effective if he would have reversed the order, right? And he would have said, "I can't wait to choke the life out of you, Saiyan," and they ended it just like that, because that's how the Japanese version ended it, and we're supposed to leave the episode with that idea in our heads of, well, wait a minute, Goku Black called him a Saiyan. Does that mean that Goku Black is not a Saiyan? Like, that's the whole, like, reason as to why the line was written like that in the Japanese version, you know, Saiyajin. Because we're supposed to wonder already from the beginning who Goku Black is. And obviously the people who are dub fans who have not seen this arc in Japanese, they're going to be wondering the same thing, even though if you go online, you can pretty much figure it out pretty quickly. some of the kids who don't really go online or don't visit our pages might not have a clue. So you want to make it a mystery for them as well. Plus, later on in the future, when new fans discover the series, you want to keep it a secret. And I just felt like having it end more like the Japanese would have been better. I did not like that script change at all. They moved some words around, but I think it could have been done a bit better. That's my opinion, of course. But overall, not a bad little first episode. I'm not going to be reviewing every dub episode. I'm probably going to review just the key ones and give you my thoughts, like when Zamasu appears, when we see Vegito and merge Zamasu. Just do stuff like that. I'm probably not going to be reviewing every episode. But these are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Were you impressed by Schemmel's Goku Black? Are you worried about how Rose is going to sound? Should he even change his voice for Rose? I don't think he should, because that makes no sense anyways. It's the same character. Why don't you just voice it the same? But let me know what you think. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to y'all in the comments below.